Okay, so for this deep dive, we're heading straight down to Lake Lanier in Forsyth County, Georgia, and we're going to examine a really massive multi-year strategy.
A campaign, really.
Yeah, a campaign of legal and financial maneuvers designed specifically to restrict short-term rentals, or STRs, from about 2016 to 2024.
And we should just jump straight to the punchline for you.
Let's do it.
Our sources show this whole strategy, which was really about exclusion, not just regulation, ended up costing taxpayers an estimated $6.5 million.
Wow.
So the mission here is to figure out, how was this legal trap actually set? And, why on earth was the county willing to pay millions to see it through?
All right, let's get into the legal side of it first, because this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Most people remember the big public ordinance that banned STRs in 2019.
The one that got all the headlines.
Exactly. But that wasn't the real ban. The actual legal trickwire, as our sources call it, was set 2 years before that.
That's right. The key move happened on September 7, 2017. It was a really subtle change to the Unified Development Code, the UDC.
Okay, so what did they change?
So they redefined hotels and motels. But the really tactically brilliant part was what they removed from the definition of commercial lodging services.
What'd they take out?
It's like lobbies, having staff, daily housekeeping, all of it.
So they were just left with a vague term.
Exactly. Just lodging services. And that's the legal ghost term. They created an empty vessel in their code.
An empty slot they could use later.
Precisely. They listed lodging services as a prohibited home business, but, and this is the key, they never specifically defined what it meant.
So that ambiguity was the weapon.
It was. It allowed them to come back later and just broadly interpret that empty term to mean any overnight stay for payment, any at all.
And that's the killer blow. Because by arguing that STRs were covered by this vague, prohibited term from 2017...
they could retroactively criminalize them.
Right. And that means you can deny all the grandfathering claims. If your business was never legal to begin with, you have no right to keep going.
It's a remarkably effective legal move, but it does raise a political question.
Which is?
If the decision was already a done deal legally in 2017, why spend all that time and money on those big public hearings in 2018 and 2019?
Our sources call it expensive public theater.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They were just creating a paper trail.
Right.
A record of due process, so they could defend themselves in court over a decision they'd already made.
A very costly way to build a record. And speaking of cost, let's get to the numbers. That whole exclusionary approach adds up to nearly $6.5 million.
And this is where you can really see the motivation, because the most staggering number isn't what they spent. It's the revenue they just flat out rejected.
Yeah, the foregone revenue.
Between 2020 and 2024, the county passed on an estimated $5.37 million in potential taxes.
Mostly hotel-motel tax and local option sales tax.
That's the real story. That $5.3 million tells you they were willing to pay a huge premium for exclusion, not just simple regulation.
And they were smart about hiding the litigation costs they did have. They used the ACCG, IRMA, insurance pool.
Their legal insurance, basically.
Kind of. The county pays a $50,000 deductible for each lawsuit, and then the big settlement payments.
Like the $350,000 payout to attorneys.
Right. Those get funded by the pool, which is supported by other counties. It keeps the biggest legal bills off the direct county budget.
So you can hide the true cost from voters. That's a huge transparency problem.
But let's shift gears, because the geography here is just as strategic. Lake Lanier is unique. All the lakefront properties, they share a border with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers land.
Which is federal public property.
Federal public property. And for thousands of people, a private dock on a lakefront home is really the only safe way to get to the water.
Especially outside of the big, crowded public parks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by banning STRs, the county isn't just regulating a business. They are, in effect, severing public access for anyone who doesn't own a home there.
If you can't afford a multi-million-dollar lake house, and now you can't rent one for a weekend...
your access to this massive public resource is severely limited. It's the privatization of a federal project for the benefit of private landowners.
So that 2017 legal tripwire, the $6.5 million price tag, it all just paints a very clear picture of a highly motivated campaign for exclusion.
And what we want you to really think about is the bigger picture here. You have public funds, federal tax dollars that built the lake, local taxes that were rejected, all being used to subsidize the privacy and exclusivity of a select group of property owners.
Who now get to enjoy a massive public works project all to themselves.